Hi, I'm Chase Heavener, and this is the 2023 Alliance Wake Gear Guide. And today we are reviewing a Liquid Force foil kit. This is a Liquid Force Orb 4.0 with a 28-inch mast and a Horizon 155 front wing and a Horizon 24 tail wing. So this board is an interesting mix. The top board is more of an advanced board for advanced riders, and then this front wing and tail, I would say, is sort of more in that beginner to intermediate range of kind of learning to foil, learning to turn, learning to pump. Kind of fun to ride something so advanced on the top where and then you have this sort of a little slower, a little turn, a little floatier bottom wing. So I had a really good time on this wing. So we're gonna get into categories now. And the first category we're going to do is pumping. And the way this wing is shaped is more of a mid-aspect to surf wing style wing. So what that means is what you gain in carving from the wing being sort of more curved in the front leading edge, you sort of lose a little bit of your glide and pumpability. So this board sort of pumped how I expected it to pump. I kind of give it a 6 out of 10 as far as pumpability goes, but I was expecting it to turn the way I wanted it to turn and not necessarily be a great pumping wing. But that said, I was definitely able to get back in all the waves I wanted to get, and I was riding in the middle of the lake with 6 or 7 waves back and doing everything I wanted to do. So it was still fun, I just had to work a little harder. But yeah, so I'd give it a 6 out of 10 on the pump scale. So the next scale we're sort of judging these foil setups on is glide. And so what glide means is basically lift. And lift being that when you kind of cut out or you're riding on the wave, how easy does that board stay in the air for you? How much effort do you have to use to keep yourself up and riding on foil? This board glided great. It's a bigger front wing, it's a 155, and so I didn't have to work hard to keep this thing in the air, and that's sort of where the way this is set up right now, that's sort of good for beginners and good for people learning to be on foil. You don't have to do a lot of work to keep this board up in the air and doing the things you want. And for me, I like small wings and I like to do a lot of work because that means I can do all the hard turns and the things I want to do. But this wing is, I would say, is definitely kind of a better wing for teaching somebody to foil, and then they can kind of advance into doing some carves in the first wave and getting on that second wave and that sort of thing. So it glides well. I'd give this a 7 out of 10 on the glide scale, and it did its job. So the next category we are talking about is speed, and speed is just that. How fast does this go? This is more of that beginner setup. So you don't want this to go fast. And for me, when I'm teaching people to foil, I start them real slow. I put them on a big wing. I get them up at about 3 or 4 miles an hour, and they slowly get on that board so that when they have a bigger wing like this, it's easier for them to fly, and they're not hitting those higher 11, 12 mile an hour speeds where things just get out of control and go all over the place. You want these big kind of floaty wings for beginners to teach because it's easy to get up on foil and there's a lot of surface area. So this isn't necessarily the fastest wing, but that's okay because that's not what this is designed for. This is designed for easy glide, easy get up, foiling really nice and easy and having a fun time while doing it. I love riding big wings just for fun. I ride very aggressive setups, but I love sort of going back and just riding these big wings and just riding doubles with people and just having a good time, and just surfing away. This is a very surfy board. This is a very surfy setup. I enjoyed it, but again, I wouldn't say it's the fastest wing. I would give this a 7 out of 10 on the speed scale, but again, that's not what this is. This isn't a fast wing, so it kind of is what I thought it was going to be. So the next category we're going to talk about is carving, and that is where this setup really excelled and surprised me. I was not expecting this setup to carve as well as it did, given how big the front wing is, but it really carved good. I was actually surprised, and I think part of that is how short the fuselage is. So the distance from the front wing to the tail kind of determines how much or how aggressive you can turn your foil under the water. And I think this was a little bit shorter of a fuselage. And so that gave me a lot of ability to do the turns I wanted to do with like a bigger front wing. So this was a great carving board. And that surf style front wing really helped with the carving. So yeah, I'd give this like an 8 out of 10 as far as carving goes. I had a really good time carving this board. So then the real question is, who is this setup built for? And it's an interesting setup. Like I said, this top board is actually like a more aggressive style board, a thinner board, but underneath you have this bigger beginner front wing and a shorter mast, which kind of makes foiling a lot easier for beginners. I would kind of put this in the beginner intermediate range, but it's, again, like, I always tell people to get a board that you can grow into versus getting something that's really easy first and then growing out of it fast. So there's a lot here in this setup that is really nice to be able to like grow into a setup like this, and you have this big front wing at first and then you just replace the front wing with a smaller one if you want to do something different. So I'd say this is a good beginner intermediate setup. Yeah, I'd put it in that category. So that's the review of the Liquid Force foil kit for the Alliance Wake 2023 Gear Guide. Click the link up top for information on Liquid Force, and we'll see you in the next video.